Okay, so welcome everybody to tonight's webinar. As you can see from the front screen there, tonight we're talking about goals and attitude. And this is one of a series of 8 that I run every Wednesday night, or most Wednesday nights. It might take about 9 weeks to do the whole lot, but try and do one a week every Wednesday night. And the first 3 are really the retail side of the business, getting started with your catalogues and the Facebook. And the first few weeks, a few other bits to do around your retail. And then number 3, possibly the most important one, is understanding how to build a customer base. Because the difference in kind of the orders that you get when you've got a customer base compared to when you first start off and you're just kind of blanketing an area or presenting to an area is fantastic. So it's really important to understand that. So if you're just starting off, definitely recommend those 3, or the third one especially. Then 4 and 5 are all about building up your residual income, the team building side of it, introducing people and then getting them off to a great start. And then last week we talked about kind of if you like, the skills that you need to work on yourself. So once you've learned how to deliver a catalogue and deliver an order and place an order, all those kind of technical skills, if you like, which don't take long at all. Once you've learned those, you would think, well, I now know everything I need to be successful. And everybody learns those really quickly, but not everybody's successful. So why is that? And it's these 6, 7, and 8 that really focus on kind of what you need to work on yourself, if you like. So today we're talking about goals and attitude. And I just mentioned earlier, for those of you who may not be sure, and these are all recorded, and I'll show you at the end where the recordings are. So if you miss anything tonight, or you just want to go over it again in your own time, or you want to go and have a look at one of the other ones, maybe how to build a customer base or whatever, you don't have to wait 4 or 5 weeks. You can just go and watch the recording. So I'll show you where those are at the end. So tonight what we're going to be covering is whether or not your attitude is important, and if you think it is, then how can you work on it? Why goals are important, and how to really work on your goals, how to set goals, and more importantly, how to achieve goals. And I just noticed Karen and Ian are struggling with the sound. Can I just check with everybody else that you can hear me okay? Kind of assuming you can, because I can hear myself okay, but perhaps if a few people could just say yes. Good. Thank you, Karen. Excellent. Good. Thanks, everybody else. Okay. Yeah, sorry, guys. I know it sometimes goes a bit loud and quiet. I don't know whether that's just at my end or your end, but okay. Sorry, guys. I think we'll have to kind of live with that. That's the joys of the internet, I'm afraid. Hopefully the recording would be better, though, so if you do miss any part of it, then the recording should be better quality. So, is your attitude important to your success in the business? And the answer is, of course. Because if you think about it, every distributor who joins Kleeneze has exactly the same opportunity. We all join with the same catalogues, we've got the same products, we all have the same costs to running our business, we all have the same payment plan, bonuses and incentives, so everything that's exactly the same, but some new distributors are more successful than others. And the main reason why they are more successful is their attitude. So just a bit of a feel, a bit of an example there, how do you feel when you get up in the morning? Some mornings you might feel, yes, right, today's my day, I'm going to get those catalogues out, I'm going to smash it, whatever it takes. Don't care whether it's raining, whether I feel a bit under the weather, whatever it takes, I'm going to get them out. Or you might feel, my back's aching a bit, a couple of too many beers last night, maybe I'll just have a bit of a lie in and get those catalogues out tomorrow. Yeah, I'm sure I'll feel better tomorrow, so that's probably a good day. It's same opportunity, it's how your attitude is that's making the difference. And there's a great phrase that you'll hear quite a lot in our business, which is, successful people do what they know they should do, even when they don't feel like doing it. So that's kind of really important for you to bear that in mind each day when you're thinking, shall I, shan't I? So your attitude makes a huge difference to all sorts of different parts of the business. Having a great attitude means that it will help you to put those catalogues out even if you're feeling a bit tired, or at the end of the day, or it's raining a bit, or whatever. While you're out doing your catalogues, it encourages you to chat and smile with your customers. even if you're feeling a bit under the weather yourself or a bit kind of worried about something, you can put that to the back of your mind, say hello, chat with your customers, and have a great chat with them. And being reliable with your catalogues and cheerful with your customers helps you build that great rapport with your customers. And that rapport is really important because that's what builds a strong and loyal customer base. And that customer base is what will provide you with a good steady income from your personal retail. And those of you who are working on a customer base will know how easy it is, how much easier it is when you've got a customer base than when you're blanketing at the beginning. So if you've just started and you're kind of blanketing your catalogs, or you feel like you're putting loads of posts on Facebook and not getting many orders yet, don't worry, persevere through it, because when you start building that customer base, it gets a lot easier. So that's not the only thing that it can help you with. Having a great attitude also helps you when you're generating some leads. So if you're going to do some leafleting or put some shop cards out or something like that, and feeling a bit under the weather, having a great attitude will say, no, I'm going to get those out. I don't care how I feel. I'll get them out and I'll feel sorry for myself when I get home. It encourages you to make those follow-up calls. If you're feeling a bit, oh God, what if he doesn't want to join? Or what if they haven't even received the information yet? Or what if I have a technical problem and the email doesn't go? Or it's so easy to talk yourself out of things. But if your attitude is, well, I've got no idea what's going to happen, but let's give them a call and see what happens. You never know. Perhaps the next person I speak to will be the next Bob Webb or the next Mike and Amanda Bibby or the next person that's going to absolutely smash this business. So I want to make sure I speak to them, because if I don't, they might speak to somebody else. And all of these activities will bring in that extra team member this month. Just because you made those extra calls, you've generated those extra leads. And the bigger your team, the bigger the residual part of your income. So there's the two parts to it. There's the part that you generate yourself, which is your retail side, your retail income, and the team income, which is the residual income, which can be a lot bigger. So just very simply, having a great attitude can increase your weekly orders because you're putting your catalogues out more, you're being cheerful to your customers. Over a period of time, that can increase your weekly orders, improve your customer base. So instead of having maybe £250 a week in orders, you're getting £500 a week in orders. With your team, if you're sharing that attitude with your team members, and your team members have a great attitude as well, because they will copy you, and you're getting more team members because of your great attitude, that can increase your team orders to maybe £2,000 to £4,000 a week. And all of that can really get you up to gold distributor very, very quickly. That can increase your income from maybe £500 a week to, from £50 a week, if you're kind of just doing it on your own, to £500 a week. Your attitude makes a big difference. Now, if you agree, which I hope you will, that having a positive attitude helps, where do you get it from? How do you get positive attitude? And I've tried and I've tried and I've tried, but I just haven't found any of it in the tins, in the packets, even in the loose veg in Sainsbury's and Texaco and Tesco's. So there are other ways that you can improve your attitude. You can't just go and buy it in the supermarket. So I'm going to give you a couple of ways to help you improve your attitude. One is your life philosophies. Now, for me, personal development is probably one of the most important parts of this business. If you're not spending any time in your business working on your own personal development, if you're spending all of your time doing your retail or making a phone calls or whatever, which is important, then you are missing out on a big part of it. So please do invest a bit of time in your personal development. But one of the things that you work on is your philosophies of life. So there's a couple of things that I feel really strongly about. So let me just try. I can't remember if I expand on these in a moment. Oh, no. No, sorry. Beg your pardon, guys. I was just trying to work out if I was going to go into this in a bit more detail. I just want to give you a bit of an understanding about what I mean by life philosophies, because when I first came into this business, if someone asked me what your philosophies about life, I wouldn't have had a clue what they were talking about. I'd have been saying, I don't know, kind of my goal is to get to the end of the week and have enough energy left to go for a beer with my mates, or whatever it might be. But just to give you a couple of examples, it is so easy to blame circumstances or people or other goings on when things go wrong in your life. It's always easy to blame somebody else, because if you blame somebody else, then you don't have to take responsibility for it yourself. Whereas if something goes wrong, and you take responsibility for it, and I don't mean you kind of think to yourself, oh well, that must have been my fault. What I mean is, if it's happened, it's happened. The difference between your success or your failure will be how you then deal with it. So if you deal with it by saying, okay, well, these things happen, but never mind, I've learned a lesson there. This is what I can now do differently. I'm not going to give up. I'm going to do this instead, and I know that my next 4 weeks are going to be much better. So you stop looking to blame and you start looking for finding out not who to blame, but what can I do differently as a result of that. And the other great life philosophy, which I think is really important, is to understand that your success or your failure in this business and in other parts of your life, your relationships, your health, your wealth, are not based on one or two massive decisions that you got right or wrong. They're based on the simple things that you decide to do every day. So that could be deciding to put those extra catalogues out every day, or deciding to put those Facebook posts out, or making those phone calls. They're not massive decisions. It's 20 seconds to make a phone call, kind of 20 seconds to put a post up on Facebook. Doing that a few times every day will make you successful. But equally, if you decide that, oh well, instead of doing that, I think I might just go and have a beer with my mates, or watch a bit of telly, or do something else to make myself feel good at the moment because I'm a bit tired, then if you're constantly making those decisions, then over a period of time, your wealth, your health, your relationships, your business will start to head in the wrong direction. So that's what I mean by kind of life philosophies. And I do talk about that a lot more in webinar number 8, which is next week. But the other thing that will help your attitude, and this is what I'm going to talk a bit more about this evening, is success. Because if you are successful, then you kind of have a pretty good attitude. It's almost a bit of a chicken and egg, isn't it? But I'm going to show you how to get around that a bit. So what is success? I think success, for many people, success means different things. It could be financial success, it could be success in your relationship, it could be success with your health, it could be a goal to lose weight, whatever it is. Your success will be different depending on what you are. So, but I think a great way to, if you like, understand and to achieve success for yourself is to achieve some goals, to set some goals which you then achieve. And so I'm a firm believer that constantly setting and achieving goals is a guaranteed route to success. And by doing it, you'll regularly be setting more and more stretching goals, achieving more and more, and feeling more and more successful. So setting and achieving goals is actually quite simple, but you just need to kind of sit down, give yourself half an hour or an hour sometime when you're not being pestered by the kids or the hubby or the wife or whatever, and do this for yourself. You need to think about this. There's 3 stages to it, really. So firstly, the goals need to be important to you. Don't let your sponsor or anybody else in your life say to you, this is what your goal should be. Because that might be their goal, but it might not be yours. So I want you to have a think about, and I'm going to go into this in a bit more detail, what goals are important to you. Secondly, how to then set those goals, and I'll explain that in a moment. And then the last step is how to achieve them. And that's the most important bit. Setting the right goal is important. Achieving the goals is kind of more important. But it is important to set the right goal. And I remember seeing something, I can't remember what the phrase was, but if you're heading down the wrong path, what you need is kind of changing direction so you're going down the right path. You don't need to just keep going faster and faster and faster down the wrong path. So setting the right goals, i.e. setting the right path for you, is important as well. But then you need to achieve it. It's no good just setting the goal and then sitting back waiting for it to happen. And you do need to be prepared for a bit of a roller coaster. Life and success is never a straight line. So the first thing I talked about is setting your first goal. And this is really, really important. You need to think about, and you'll hear us talk about this, and it can be a bit tricky if you've never kind of done this before. So sometimes having a little team sizzle and doing this as a joint exercise with a bunch of people, each working on their own, is a great way to do it, because that will kind of give you some other examples. But you need a strong why, a strong reason for why you're doing this. Because what happens when you're trying to set some goals is, firstly, you set a goal, whatever that might be. You want to lose some weight, or you want to get the next level in the business, or you want to qualify for Mexico, or whatever it might be. So you create a plan, and you start thinking, okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that, and then in my first week I'll have done that, and then second week this, and fourth week this, and so on. So you create a great plan, and then you start to take those first steps. So you put the catalogues out, or you make the phone calls, or you get a bit more exercise, or whatever. And then obstacles appear, and they always will. And there will be something that, you'll make a phone call to somebody, and they'll be a bit obnoxious on the phone, or you'll drop a catalogue off, and you end up sort of losing a load of catalogues, or you hardly got any orders, or whatever. You start to see a few obstacles. And in fact, if you're not seeing any obstacles, chances are your goal is not ambitious enough. But if you've got a strong reason why, then that reason will motivate you to overcome those obstacles. Because you're thinking, actually, it doesn't really matter. I know this is going to happen. You can anticipate some obstacles, and you can overcome them. So your reason why is really, really important to think about at the beginning. And what I would suggest you do is, the reason needs to be emotional. What I would say is, sometimes if you set a goal that is, I want to call 50 people this week to invite them to join the business. Well, that's kind of okay, and it's a good target, but it's not really emotional. It doesn't, if you speak to 50 people about the business, and then at the end of that you go and you're having a celebration meal with husband and children or whatever, and you sort of say, yeah, I'm really pleased with this, and they think, well, okay, well, how does that, what does that mean? It doesn't mean anything. Whereas if it's an emotional goal, if it's like, as a family, you've always dreamed of going to Disneyland Paris, taking your children to Disneyland Paris, because you can just imagine how your children will be so excited and planning it, and when they're actually there and seeing Mickey Mouse and getting the photos taken, it becomes so exciting that it's a really powerful visual goal. Let me just give you a little bit of an example. So if I was to put a plank down on the ground and say to you, if you walk across that plank, I'll give you £20, then you'd probably think, easy peasy, bump, 4 or 5 steps, and you cross there, £20, no problem at all. If I take exactly the same plank, go to the top of the nearest tall block of flats or skyscraper, and put it outside the one window at the top of the flats across to another nearby block of flats, and say, right, I'd like you to walk across that plank again now. You'd probably say, you're kidding, 20 quid to walk across that plank 1,000 feet up in the air? No chance whatsoever. Now, it's exactly the same plank. Nothing's changed apart from, you're suddenly thinking it's not worth 20 quid. So the goal that you set yourself, if you like, wasn't emotional enough. It didn't kind of motivate you. As soon as there was an obstacle in the way, which is, it's a bit windy up here, then you decided not to do it. However, if on the other block of flats your daughter or son was there and the flats were in flames and there was no way they could escape, the only way they could get across was across the plank, and they were really scared and terrified and wouldn't do it on their own, I guarantee you wouldn't need 20 quid to get across there. You would find a way. You might go down on your hands and knees, tie a rope to yourself or whatever. You'd find a way across that plank, no problem at all. And that is because your reason why, your motivation, far overcame any obstacles. So I'm not going to ask you to walk a plank. What you need to do is make sure that your reason why is something that will motivate you to overcome obstacles. And that's why most people join this business. They have something that's really powerful, a reason why they want to earn extra money, because they've got a fantastic goal. They don't want to be working for the next 40 years for another boss, or they want to be able to spend time with their family, or whatever it is. So make sure that your reasons are really important to you, and really, as I say, emotional reasons that include your family, I think are excellent places to start. So that's the kind of what kind of goals you want. So in terms of then setting the goals, I'm going to explain a bit about that next. So, as I've said, a great place to start is by asking yourself a question. What would you change in your life? And so that could just be, I wish I wasn't worried about when the bills come in. or I'd love to be able to take the kids to the movies at the weekend without worrying about where the money was coming from, or I'm sick of my car, it's always breaking down, I'd love to be able to get a new car. So whatever it might be, that's usually a good place to start in terms of working out what goal am I going to work on. And I normally recommend you set yourself 3 different types of goals. So the first is a short-term goal. This is something that is achievable within 2-3 months. And that could be something like, I'm sick of working on this old laptop. It always breaks down, constantly reboots itself in the middle of starting up Facebook or whatever. I'd love to be able to buy a new one. Or, your kids have been talking about, all the other kids at school are going to Alton Towers for their holidays. We never go to Alton Towers. Why can't we do that, Mum? And you're sort of sick of not being able to treat the kids. So something like that, you could work hard for 3 months and easily be able to treat yourself to a new laptop or a day out with the children. So that's a good short-term goal. And obviously they're going to be different for everybody. So have a think of yourself about what's important for you in the next 2-3 months. That will help you to set that first goal. I also recommend that you set some medium-term goals for yourself, and by that I mean kind of 6 to 12 months. So this could be something like paying off a credit card debt. If you've been living your life for the last few years just paying off the interest on a debt, and it's just constant drain on your finances, but you've never been able to get enough to actually pay it off, then that might be a goal. Or it might be you'd love to take the family to a holiday in Spain. Kids haven't been abroad, and it'd be such a fantastic experience to do that. So that could be something that you could save for. Here we are in September, 12 months down the line, maybe 10 months in next summer, you could easily have enough money to take the family on a holiday if you work on this business. And then longer term, well, who knows, it could be you'd like to put a deposit on a new house. Perhaps if you've been renting for a while, you'd really love to have a mortgage. Not really love to have a mortgage, but love to have your own house where you can choose. You're not worried about the landlord kicking you out or anything like that. Or maybe you've always dreamed of having a sports car, a Mercedes or a Porsche or whatever it might be. If you work hard for a few years, then all these things could be yours as well. So these are they're kind of, I'm calling them all goals, but some of the longer term ones are kind of more like dreams. They're kind of so exciting, and it's really important to have those. But it's also important that you achieve things before then on your route to having that brand new Mercedes or the Porsche or the mansion in wherever it is in the country that you want to live. En route to those dreams, you need to be passing some short-term goals as well. So that's fine. So maybe you've sat down with the family. I would say it's important to do that. Don't just set goals that are important to you, but nobody else in the family thinks they're interested in, because you might have to sacrifice some of the time that you're currently spending with the family in order to achieve those goals. So it's important to know why that they know why you're doing it. But once you set those goals and you've kind of agreed them with yourself and your family, then how do you actually achieve them? That's the easy bit, setting the goals, isn't it? Now the hard work starts. So, as I said there, regardless of what your goal is, in order to achieve that, let me just give you a little kind of step-by-step approach. So your goal is some kind of change in your life, whatever that is, usually finances or something like that, but it might just be the holiday or the laptop or whatever. Now, you're going to achieve that change by getting some results. And the results could be orders from your customers, they could be a bonus at the end of the month, it might be some new team members. So you cannot get that laptop or the holiday without achieving some results. No matter how hard you think and wish and hope and cross your fingers, you're actually going to have to achieve some results to generate the income for that. And the results themselves don't just come about just because you think about them. You can't just sit down at home, cross your legs and hope that some orders will come in. You've actually got to take some action. Sorry guys, just running a bit slow at the moment. So, as I said there, the actions produce the results. The results provide you with, if it's a financial result that you're looking for, produce the income that will then help you to achieve that goal, whatever it was. So you need to think about the actions rather than just thinking about the results. What actions do I need to take in order to achieve some results that will allow me to achieve my goal? So the kind of the approach is the same really regardless of what your goals are. So if in the short term, for example, if the result you are aiming for was enough money to be able to buy a new laptop, then maybe the actions that you need to take are to put out 200 catalogs twice a week, or maybe to deliver 500 leaflets if you're trying to earn the money through team building twice a week, something like that. So that's good because now you can start to think about, okay, what do I need to do to get that laptop? Once you've sat down with your sponsor and agreed what you need to do, then that's great. You know what to do. You can just go out and do it. Exactly the same if it's a family holiday. Work with your sponsor on this because they will be, through their own experience, they'll be able to say to you, okay, family holiday, we're probably talking about needing maybe £2, £3, £4,000. How do you earn that much money between now and then? Well, maybe you need to keep blanketing your catalogues over the next 3 to 6 months until you've got a customer base of 500 customers. Or maybe if you're going to do it through team building, you need to set yourself a daily goal of making sure that you talk to 10 people every day about the business. Because we know that if you speak to 10 people every day about the business, you cannot fail but get some people signing up. So that will help you to build the team. So again, those are actions that you can control. You can choose whether you speak to those people or not. It's impossible to walk around any town centre without finding 10 people or look through your phone book or your Facebook friends page. And if your longer term goal is, again, whatever it might be, new Mercedes, perhaps the actions that you need to take get different as your goals get more exciting and bigger. So maybe the actions that you're needing to do if you're looking to build a team that will help you buy a brand new car, maybe you need to generate 30 leads a week or something like that. Maybe you're starting to build a team, and so to support them and motivate them and encourage them, you need to run a little webinar like this for your team. Going through different things, helping them to progress in their own development as well. So the reason that sitting down and working out what are the actions that I need to take and breaking that down into short-term, medium and long-term goals is that if you start off with small actions, and by small I mean things that you can do in a week, so we're not talking about building a massive business overnight, but things that you can do in a week, daily tasks, weekly targets if you like, but those small actions gradually repeated day in day out lead to big results. Because if you think about it, if you set yourself a little goal to get 200 catalogs out twice a week, and every week you get a small success, you achieve your putting your catalogs out, you get motivated by that. You think, yes, I've done it. Now I can do that again next week. And so after a couple of months, by building that customer base, getting your orders in, you've bought yourself the new laptop, which is great. You feel even more motivated. So every couple of months, you're getting a bigger success. You're achieving that goal. You can set your next short-term goal. And then in a year's time, you achieve that longer-term goal. So you go on holiday, and then you start thinking about, oh, fantastic, right, where are we off on holiday next year now? That was brilliant. And you're getting seriously motivated. So all these successes that all started off by you just making the decision to put your catalogs out twice a week, all those successes are constantly improving your attitude. But you do need to be prepared for a roller coaster because, as I've said, your success isn't a straight line. You will have good days and bad days. You will have team members that join and then decide it's not for them. So you do need to be prepared for that a little bit. There's a great quote which I really like, which is, any path without obstacles is probably not leading anywhere worthwhile. And typically what happens, what you can expect is when you start doing this, you get excited. You sort of sit down, you've worked out some goals and you're really looking forward to it. You're all excited and you say to yourself, right, this is really going to work now. I'm going to do whatever it takes to be successful. And then you start to come across a few obstacles and maybe you get a bit of self-doubt. You're thinking, oh, I don't know, maybe I stretch myself a bit too far. You get a bit frustrated, come across a few negative people and you're thinking, oh, I'm not sure that this is right for me. So you're kind of starting to doubt yourself. And this, you can call this the pits if you like, and it's a very normal phase that everybody goes through. For some people, it's within a couple of days. Some people, it can be a few months into the business, you've just started to achieve a bit of success and then you struggle a bit. For some people, it can be a couple of years down the line and you kind of, you've got to gold, you've got a fantastic team member, things are going really, really well, and then one of your team members decides to leave, and you're kind of really struggling with that. And so usually what happens when you get to that point, you start avoiding the meetings, you find excuses for why things are not working your way. You start to find faults with your team members or the product or the business or the opportunity. And it's really easy to kind of start feeling negative about things like that. But the way around that is, if you have got a great attitude by having those regular successes, then having that positive attitude means that you can wake up the next morning and you're thinking, hold on a minute, that's not me. I'm not like that at all. So you start to get into a fight stage, and your kind of mindset then is, I'm never going to give up. I know that success is just around the corner. There are so many examples of success in this business. I know I can achieve it. And you start to focus on the goals and your actions instead of the obstacles. And you go back to attending the events again, communicating with your team and with your sponsor, and that gets you off again, back on your path to success. So I'm kind of coming to the end of it now, guys. I've kind of covered what I was going to talk about this evening. It's 8:30, so half an hour. That's about what's spot on, what I was aiming for. I'd like to ask you a few questions just before we finish off then. And the first one I'd like to ask is there anybody who's got a short-term goal? By that I mean, kind of say within the next 3 months, that they'd like to achieve, that they'd like to share with us. It'd be great to hear some of you. I know my personal goal is I'm hoping to qualify for Madrid. So I've been working hard for that over the last few months, and we'll find out in a couple of weeks whether I've achieved that or not. Anybody else got any short-term goals that they're aiming for? Or maybe that you've thought of just this evening as we've talked about it? Oh, Peter and Myrna, fantastic. Well, it'll be fantastic to see you there if we do qualify, if we both do. Anybody else got any other goals? Huel and Jan, sponsoring team members, brilliant, brilliant. Don't forget what I said, Huel and Jan, about making the goal emotional. What would having 2 new team members who maybe both hit 10%, what would that mean to you, in terms of your financial security or your self-motivation? That's the kind of the goal to think about. But no, I think that's great. Sponsoring people is a fantastic way to build that motivation. It's kind of a bit of a snowball, a bit of a momentum thing. You sponsor one, and then before you know it, you get another one, and then that builds your confidence, and so you get another one. So good. Rick, earning 500 quid before Christmas, couple of team members, brilliant. I mean, an extra £500 for a lot of families. 500 quid to spend over Christmas would be fantastic. You could have a really nice meal out, or just presents or whatever. Karen and Ian, yeah, good. Again, team members, what I would say, Karen and Ian, is think about, in terms of your motivation, what does getting to gold mean to you? Is it the walking across the stage and the kind of the feeling of achievement when you're getting the applause from all the audience, or is it the finance that means, gives you some security or whatever, or allows you to? I know you've got grandchildren, so would that allow you to do a lot more with the grandchildren? So think about that. Brilliant. Okay, guys, thank you for that. I think there's some great goals there. Remember what I said about trying to make them emotional. What's important to you? It's not so much the results which you need in order to be able to achieve those goals. And then just a quickie, anyone got any longer term goals that they'd like to share with us? What would why did you join this business? You didn't join the business just for an extra couple of hundred quid. Did you join it to be able to have that fantastic holiday every year, or to be able to buy the dream house or the dream car, or just to be able to retire early, or to be able to retire at all? Anyone got any longer term goals that they'd like to share with us? Yay, Joe! Driving lessons in a car. Go, girl. I think that's fantastic. Yeah, Rick, I know we've spoken about that, being able to work for yourself. That's really powerful for a lot of people. I just love the stories of people that have been working for years and years and years, and then 2 or 3 years after joining the business they can just retire. And it's not retirement, because actually I find I probably work longer hours in this business than when I was working, but it's hours that I choose, and if I want to stop, I can stop. It's that choice that it gives you. Yeah, Jewel and Jan. Yeah, I mean, there's loads of stories of people that have joined the business because they're worried about their pension and retirement, and just having that residual income to supplement your pension is fantastic. Good, good. Okay, thanks, guys. I really do appreciate. Peter, thank you for that. What, you want to buy yourself a Premier Inn and become a hotel landlord? Okay, I can see you with that one, Peter. My question to you now then is, setting the goal is one thing, but are you taking the actions that you need to take that will inevitably lead to that result? Because goal setting is just the first step. It's repeating those actions day in, day out that will give you the results. Okay, guys, thanks very much for sharing that with me. I really appreciate that. I hope you found it useful as well. And that's the end of tonight's webinar. I'm just going to turn off